Hi, everybody. It's Benjamin Freeman Wilson again with TypeFox, and we're here to talk some more about Langium. This will be the fifth tutorial here, and in this one, we're going to be continuing the work that we just did in the last tutorial, where we were actually working on putting together the validations for our custom language. And in this case, if you've been following along so far, the example language you've been using is MiniLogo, which you can always look up and double check on the TypeFox repo. But today, the focus is going to be on fixing the bugs that we had in the last tutorial. So if we're following along in the last one, we had quite a few issues here with the generator, some little issues that we need to patch up. And so we're going to spend this one going through and solving these issues. Now for these generator issues, it's going to be a little bit trickier because we have to actually rework this quite a bit. Here, this was originally designed for the templated Hello World language. And so in this case, we have a greetings property that exists on our model, but with our current grammar, that's not even remotely the same anymore. It's changed quite a bit. And so we have quite a few different objects in particular. In particular, these two property statements and defs. We have a whole tree that we have to update. We're going to do it step by step, though, and make it a clear enough process that you can then replicate this for your own language, ideally. Okay, so one of the first things we have here is that the imports for the Hello World module need to be resolved quickly because these are not quite correct. And this is due to the renaming of our project from Hello World to MiniLogo. So in this case, we can just do MiniLogo generated module. Don't need the rest of that. We can shift it off. And then we just need to make sure that we're referencing it accordingly down here. Right. We should probably also start changing the rest of these names to Hello World to MiniLogo. So this was the default. So we're going to start updating these to MiniLogo in this example, just using some rename functionality here really quick. One moment. And we could call this one actually MiniLogo Services. That would be a little more. Yeah, there we go. That's a bit better. And we can change this one to MiniLogo Services as well. And change this one here to MiniLogo Added Services. No, wait. This is to MiniLogo Services, actually. Oh, wait. Yeah, right. Added Services. Yeah, that's what I thought. MiniLogo Added Services. Okay, and then this one, change to MiniLogo Module. And then here we change this to the MiniLogo Validator as well. And also, let's change the class to be the new MiniLogo Validator as well. I'll cut to when I renamed them. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've renamed several of the file here to be MiniLogo Module Validator and Langium, just to be consistent that we're talking about MiniLogo and not Hello World. Probably should have done this before, but catching up, better later than never. Okay. And I've also updated several of the exported functions and types. However, if we're going to do this, we need to make sure that we're consistent in the configuration here. So in the Langium config, we want to update the project name, language ID here, and the grammar, because our grammar has changed. Since the hello world.langium has been changed to minilogo.langium, change it in respect to your language too as well. If it has a different name, then and also if you have already created your language with a different name to start with, you may not have to change any of this. It's actually the better setup. So I'm just catching up here. All right. Okay, let's see if I missed anything here. Langium generate, regenerate, everything looks good. Okay. Run a build. Let's see, we get the errors we had before, but nothing new, right? This one's still outdated. Right. That's the ASD types we still need to update. The generated shared module has also been changed as well. Should be MiniLogo shared module. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so now we just need to reference it correctly and update this accordingly. Nice. Okay. Now there's one more at the bottom here. Yes, this will be MiniLogo language metadata. So all these generated things have been updated kind of as you would expect with the name of the language. Okay, let's update the reference. Alrighty. It's looking better. Now we're caught up. Okay. Now we can focus on the generator changes. Oh, one more here. Missed it. Right. We need to change the validator import here because the AST type has changed as well. So this is going to be the MiniLogo AST type. Okay. And if you're curious what this is, you can actually jump right into it and take a look at it. It's an agglomeration where effectively it's a type that contains properties for all of the types that can be contained within our AST. Yep, so quite convenient for actually setting up your validator then, because you can use it as a way to define the individual AST node types that you'll be defining validation for without having to iterate yourself. So you can just register checks to a specific type. If you look at the validation checks definition, you can see how here it doesn't really matter what we actually need, so long as it's defined in that generic type. And this is much easier than having to resort to something like strings on the types. So it just makes a type-safe way to define validations. Okay, so now we're down to just a pair of errors. So this is the tricky part. Now we're in the generator itself. So let's start simply. We maybe don't want to do too many changes here right off the bat. So let's make sure that we can at least generate from the top level to start. Let's start with, say, showing the number of statements and definitions that we have that we wanted to go through, and nothing else. So what I've done here is I've added another function here that we're going to export called generate. Originally, because this was the hello world example, we were generating JavaScript, but really, we're not interested in doing that right now, so we're just going to simplify this with a simpler export, just for the number of statements and defs. So one of the things that we can do here is to go ahead and get the model. We want to get the statements, and let's go ahead and pull those out. Get the length of those statements there. Oh, I missed it. And then we want to get the convert those statements to string. Okay. And we can actually remove this code here since we don't really plan on using this for the moment. We do want to export drawing commands, but it's not really the focus right now. There's also quite a few exports we no longer require. I'm going to clean that up. Now, we need to go back to the main. We need to verify, yeah, our generator export has changed. Let's simplify it here. Just generate. And keep in mind that the original implementation is tightly coupled with writing to the file system here. So we're no longer going to need some of these extra parameters like the file name. So we just say that it's just a generated result or something like that. Yeah. And let's go ahead and just say, instead of JavaScript code generated, let's just say generated successfully with that result. That's simple enough. This should be sufficient to kind of check if things are working. Okay, and the most important thing here is that given a particular MiniLogo program is specified by this file name to that MiniLogo file, we can actually parse and validate this, and then we can actually trust that if that validation was defined correctly, that the model that we have here is actually already well validated. So this is great. So without having to actually do much work, we've already established whether or not the model is in fact correct before we utilize it in generation. Even though we're just taking a number of statements right now, this is quite helpful. Gives us some confidence in our AST. So the other thing, let's make sure is that our program is set up to generate the right action. Yeah, because we're using the existing action should work. We don't need the options as well, but we can keep them for now. They're not necessary at this point, however. Okay, so let's verify with Langium generate. Looks good. Start build. Let's see if we missed anything. All good. Okay, nice. All right. So now let's go ahead and actually generate test. I did not add this. Okay, let's go ahead and add this. Let's look through the scripts that are already present, and let's see if we can add this one in here. I guess there isn't one for generate test. That's okay though. So in order to be able to actually invoke the CLI, it's a bin CLI, by the way, requires the main. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to invoke it directly here. So yeah. One moment here. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Yep. And you can see the basic CLI interface here. So let's just do generate. And let's give it a file, and let's look. Do we have examples? Oh, we don't. Okay, let's go ahead and make an examples folder. Nope, not in there. Let's bring it out. Here. Yeah, an examples folder here. Perfect. Okay. And here, let's put test.logo for MiniLogo. Let's just do a main def, and then we'll call that. So I've added it in this program. And now we're just going to generate off this program. It's very simple. Okay. Right. We haven't updated the extension. Okay. So we need to actually go through and we need to update the extension. So when you have this problem, this is when you were configuring your language in the first place. You also indicated what extensions your language was used to recognize, what extension for your language is recognized. So here we just have to change it to .logo and maybe MiniLogo too. Why not? Whatever works for your language so that we actually recognize programs written in our language properly. Okay, and we got to run Langium generate again to factor this in, by the way, which I missed there. Okay, let's run the CLI. Missed it. Okay. And let's run the CLI again. Parsing error. Okay. So something's not right. We'll figure this out. Okay. So I found the error. It was actually right under my nose. It's right here under block. I had a closing parenthesis, not a closing curly brace. So whoops, small mistake there. But we go ahead and regenerate now. It should be good. And then let's build. And now let's try this test logo. Okay, so I actually just did this too, and I was jumping from one case to the other. Just a quick note, the extensions are not case insensitive, like .logo lowercase and .logo uppercase. If you only have the lowercase version registered, then the uppercase version won't get picked up. So keep that in mind. That's for the current version of Langium here for 1.2.0. But version 2 and version 3 have already been released. So we'll probably be updating future tutorials to actually reflect these new versions as well. And we'll show how to update that later too. Okay. So now let's go ahead and generate. And look, we actually constructed something, but something unexpected, but we got that object. So, 1 sec. Not getting a string back instead of, right. Oh yeah. I'm taking the whole array and actually turning it to a string, right? So we get object, whoopsie daisy. I even said that before. Okay, so let's actually be clear. So let's say this is the statement's length, and then really actually get the length property from this array as opposed to the array itself. All right. And so let's take the statements, we'll do it here, and we'll just say number, use type system, why not? Okay, now we should be getting the length that's expected. Okay, we don't need to generate again, let's just build, or yeah, we can, and we generated successfully, and we should get one actual statement. Yeah, we did, okay, good. Can't see it's a little cut off, but in the current implementation, we have one definition, we did one statement there, so let's add more statements so we can see them. Okay, and if we have 4, we should have 4 printed out. Yeah. And if we wanted to really check this, we could just put like a quick console dir here just to dump the model. Fairly straightforward. Let's run this again. One more time, build. Generate once again. And there is your whole model, kind of dumping everything, but we're really just interested in the defs here, which you can see there's just that one def, and it's called main. And this corresponds to what we were expecting. And here are the statements. Oh, yeah, yep. Wait, no, that's definitely not right. Okay, yeah. It's an empty array, so wait, maybe something is wrong. Oh, wait, yeah, we did. We deleted all the statements. That's correct. Okay. Now there are statements. Where are statements? There are statements. Okay. We're looking around. Yeah, so that's what we were expecting. 4 statements corresponding to 4 invocations of the main definition. Okay, so let's make it a simpler example again. And let's proceed to finishing up the rest of the generator here. Okay. So as you're maybe wondering too, we're going to do some more with the generator. We will be doing more with the generator, but in the next tutorials for this one, we're just going to cap this off and just show that if we have a validation error in our model, that we can actually get that validation error back correctly. But really, this is just provide a baseline description. We can take a model and really do anything with it and have access to this AST and trust that it's correct. So let's introduce a validation error intentionally. So you can see I also have the extension for MiniLogo installed locally because I built that. But yeah, so we're missing a closing parenthesis triggers a validation error. Well, triggers an error because we're not parsing correctly. So, but it also triggers a validation error. And so it won't attempt to generate because we didn't even pass validation. So this is important because we're first parsing the program, and then we're actually going through and validating this program, and then we're attempting to generate off of it. But if we can't validate or verify the program first, we don't actually go to the generation step. So this is really handy because it means now we have a tool in our CLI, or really our CLI is the tool, where we can actually use this in other programs we want to without having to rely on just writing everything in TypeScript. If we had something in Python and wanted to be able to invoke this locally to say parsing programs and be able to do something with that AST, you could. And actually, that's what we're going to talk about in the next tutorial, where we describe how to serialize your AST, because I think that would make a very good follow-up here, because you don't actually have to go through the whole AST mechanically by hand. You can actually just use the built-in JSON serializer. So we can talk about that in the next tutorial and demonstrate how to hook that into your CLI to make it compatible with other programs. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.